The courtroom was silent. Everyone was holding their breath. James Carter, who had served his country in the military for years, now sat in his wheelchair, waiting for the most important decision of his life. Across from him stood Rex, his loyal companion, the one who had been by his side on the battlefield, the one who had saved him when they faced death together. After all these years, they were finally face to face again. But was this a reunion or a final goodbye? And then, in that very moment, something happened that no one expected. To make sure you don't miss more captivating stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. James Carter was a brave soldier who had served in the military for years, facing countless dangers. Even when the shadow of death loomed over the battlefield, he had always managed to stand tall. But his greatest strength didn't come from his weapon or his training, it came from the unwavering loyalty of his closest companion Rex. Rex wasn't just a military dog, he was James' best friend, his most trusted ally on the battlefield. They had served side by side for years, watching each other's backs as bullets whizzed through the air. Time and time again they had come close to death, fighting to keep each other alive. But that final mission changed everything. When a deafening explosion tore through the sky, James didn't even have time to react before he was thrown to the ground by the force of the blast. His vision blurred, his ears rang with an unbearable noise. It took a few seconds for the pain to hit, then, a searing agony spread through his body, dragging him into darkness. Time seemed to stop when he realized he had lost his legs. But the one who pulled him from the rubble, the one who gave him a reason to keep fighting, was his most loyal friend. Despite being dazed by the blast, Rex had pushed through the dust and debris to reach him, refusing to leave his side. Until the medics arrived, he had stayed with James, looking at him as if to say, "I won't leave you. You're not alone." And in that moment, James made a silent promise to himself, his life still had meaning, he still had a reason to fight. After a long and grueling recovery process, James found himself confined to a wheelchair. Months of rehabilitation had taken a toll, not just on his body but on his spirit as well. Yet, the hardest part of it all wasn't leaving the military. The real pain came from being forced to leave Rex behind. Military rules were strict. Rex still belonged to the army and had been reassigned to new missions, taken away from James' life. No matter how hard he fought, there was no way to keep him. They had faced death together countless times, but now, the distance between them was more brutal than any battlefield. James tried to adjust to his new life without Rex, but nothing could fill the emptiness inside him. Years passed. They said time healed all wounds, but for James that was just a fairy tale. The absence of Rex only grew heavier with each passing day. Then one day he received unexpected news: Rex had retired from service. The excitement that surged through him quickly turned to dread. When he learned that Rex was going to be adopted by another family, his world came crashing down. To James, Rex wasn't just a dog. He was the one who had stood by his side in the face of death, the one who had saved his life, the one who had never left him even in pain. Now it was James' turn to fight for him. He made his decision. He filed a lawsuit to get Rex back. When the day of the trial arrived, James sat tall in his wheelchair. His heart pounded, but there was a determination in his eyes that he hadn't felt in years. Because that day he wasn't just fighting to get a dog back, he was fighting for their bond, for the loyalty that had never wavered, for the friendship that had saved his life. James slowly moved forward in his wheelchair, the cold and formal atmosphere of the courtroom pressing down on him. His heart pounded heavily in his chest. Deep inside there was a lingering hopelessness, but at the same time, an unshakable determination. He hadn't come here just to win. No, this was about reclaiming the friend he rightfully deserved. Right in front of him stood his companion, the one who had been by his side through years of service, the one who had helped him survive countless battlefields. Rex. He was chained. But his eyes. Those eyes still shone with the same unwavering love and loyalty. The moment Rex spotted James entering the room, his ears perked up, and his gaze locked onto him. At first, he let out a soft bark, as if years of longing were condensed into that single sound. And then, something unexpected happened. Ignoring the chains that held him, Rex lunged forward with all his strength, pulling with an unstoppable force until he broke free. The courtroom erupted into chaos. Officers jumped to their feet, some trying to stop him. But Rex had only one destination: James. Within seconds he was in his arms. His massive body pressed against the side of the wheelchair as he buried his head into his owner's chest. James' hands trembled as he reached out, sinking his fingers into the familiar warmth of Rex's fur. And in that moment, a profound silence filled the room, touching everyone's hearts. This wasn't just a dog running to his owner. This was the reunion of an unbreakable bond, a friendship beyond words, a connection that had withstood time, war, and separation. James closed his eyes tightly as all the emotions he had buried for years came rushing to the surface. "I will never let you go, buddy," he whispered. And just like on the battlefield, Rex stayed by his side, never leaving him, not even for a second. The massive courtroom seemed to freeze the moment Rex broke free from his chains and lunged toward James. Everyone held their breath, their eyes locked onto this extraordinary reunion. With all his strength, Rex threw himself into James' arms. His powerful body enveloped the man in the wheelchair, creating a moment of pure love and devotion unlike anything anyone had ever witnessed. James' arms wrapped tightly around his long-lost companion, his fingers sinking into Rex's warm, soft fur. He inhaled deeply, taking in the familiar scent of his friend. His eyes welled up, his lips trembled as he struggled to swallow the lump in his throat. The silence that filled the courtroom was more powerful than any words could ever be. Some people lowered their heads, while others wiped away silent tears. For minutes no one spoke because there was nothing to say. The judge removed his glasses, letting them rest at the tip of his nose. He took a deep breath, his lips curling into a faint, knowing smile. His gaze settled on James and Rex, fully grasping the depth of their bond, the kind of friendship that defied time, distance, and even the rules of man. When he finally spoke, his words sent a wave of relief and joy through the room. "This might be the easiest ruling this court has ever made," the judge said, his voice both gentle and firm. "Rex has never belonged to anyone else. He has always been James Carter's dog and he always will be." James closed his eyes and a single tear slipped down his cheek, but this time, it wasn't from sorrow. It was from pure, unfiltered happiness. Rex rested his head against James' chest and let out a deep, contented sigh. Nothing could ever separate them again. This dog has chosen his owner. And I don't think anyone in this courtroom would dare to argue with that. The judge's voice shattered the heavy tension in the room, filling the space with an undeniable warmth. A brief silence followed, then the entire courtroom erupted into applause. People stood up, clapping with enthusiasm, celebrating not just a legal decision, but a friendship that had defied time, a loyalty that had never wavered, and a bond that could never be broken. James' eyes filled with tears. He had tried to stay strong throughout the entire ordeal, but now there was no need to hold back. His tears carried the weight of years of pain, longing, and the overwhelming relief of finally being whole again. His hands gripped Rex's soft fur tightly, feeling the warmth of his companion, the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. Rex, unable to contain his excitement, licked James' hands eagerly, pressing his head firmly against his chest as if to say, "We will never be apart again." Everyone in the room witnessed more than just the reunion of a man and his dog, they saw a soul finding its missing piece. For the first time in years, James felt whole again. Because some bonds don't fade with time. Some friendships can't be erased by distance. Some connections can never be broken. To make sure you don't miss more captivating stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give the video a like.